We've talked about some of the challenges in terms of regulation. Lastly, you said that actually Norway's actually doing quite a good job, but Norway is just one country of many. I want to explore just for a moment the role that open innovation can play, because sharing knowledge is a very important thing in terms of solutions. Bjorn, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it has its place, and I think industries are using it today. There are numerous projects that are done between competitors, and you are working together to create products and solutions for the future. I think it has its place, even though I think the strongest driving in the part will be from individual companies and from other innovative people who will be driving the industry.
Paul, your thoughts on open innovation is actually a lot of the technology we have, certainly in the U.S., has come from government.
Let me go back to IMO first. And when you look at some of the practices that have emerged, double-skinned tank ships as a result of catastrophic oil spills at sea, best management practices for piracy as a result of piracy off the coast of Somalia, now Nigeria. If you look at Asian carp, zebra mussels, invasive species carried in ballast water, many of these are in response to retroactive rather than proactive. So when I look at the role of IMO, how do we predict the future? We know that right now the Arctic, we're seeing recedence in sea ice. We've seen upwards of 200,000 tourists on cruise ships in the Arctic, yet about 5% of the Arctic is charted to 21st century standards. Do we wait for the next catastrophe in the Arctic domain to then look to industry, look to private sector? Is we need better mapping technology in the Arctic. So those are some of the areas we need to look at. I look at cyber. We have SCADA systems on many of our ocean-going ships that can be remotely accessed, as can many of our ocean terminals can be remotely accessed. But who is accessing those terminals? Every second, 8 billion transistors are being built in the world. What if 2 of those transistors have malware and those then proliferate across our maritime industry? Are we resilient enough, as we depend so much on technology and cyber, to be efficient in what we do? So we need to think proactively and not retroactively to events that have happened, but what are the possibilities as we look into the future?
Let me ask you a question. Last, you wanted to jump in here, please.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to add on that regulation. I think there's one big opportunity ahead of us now to be somewhat better in being predictive. That is the new sulfur requirements 2020. And I think if we're all honest and we look around us, I mean, there is enough fuel around to support that implementation in 2020. I mean, there's 80% utilization on the world's refineries. But still, that will drag on, and we don't know what will happen. And most of us order ships in these times, delivered just before 2020, and whether the fuel will cost us $500 or $300 or $800, that will impact innovation on new ships. Just back to your open innovation thing, I think in Norway we have probably been okay at that. We had this work group of 5, which we were part of. We really worked together. I think what we've been poor at is to open up for open innovation with players outside our industry. And we are at least now trying to figure out how will this whole digitization change our industry. Shipping is probably the most analog industry we know of. And here we have to learn from others, so we have certainly to open up for innovation with others.